KUAM TVH, first on Guam.
KUAM News, winner of the 2022 Regional Edward R. Murrow Award for Excellence in Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for the Culture Club.
KUAM News headlines are presented by Calvo's Insurance, protecting Micronesia for 85 years. Matson, celebrating 25 years of commitment to Guam, Micronesia, and the CNMI. Cars Plus Finish Line Express is now open at Cars Plus in Mighty. The state-of-the-art car wash is now open 7 days a week from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. McDonald's of Guam, I'm loving it. And King's Restaurant, serving your local breakfast, lunch, and dinner favorites for over 45 years.
Ahead on KUAM News Primetime.
A search for a missing free diver that went on late into the night and continued early today. I'm Julian Hernandez reporting from the command post. The rescue efforts including military and local officials.
The CNMI's chief of the Bureau of Motor Vehicles included in a federal grand jury indictment for a conspiracy to unlawfully produce an identification document. I'm Tomas Manglonia with the story coming up.
And a community gathers in one central village, airing concern over the ongoing criminal activity in their neighborhoods as the police department is working to increase its force.
Hafidades and buenas noches. Bienvenido para KUAM News Primetime. Guahu Sinek Delgado.
Zaguahu si Destiny Cruz. Sizos maasi puri mañana mizu guini na programa.
Well, as we begin with the search for a 31-year-old man who went missing in the waters off Roti Point now more than 24 hours ago. He was free diving with others in those deep waters when he never returned to their boat.
No doubt an emotional time for his loved ones who could only sit back and watch as local and military first responders search land and sea. Julian Hernandez has the story.
Rescue crews with the Guam Fire Department are seen on a boat and on jet skis just inside Apra Harbor Friday morning. They are among the large group including Guam Police, the Coast Guard, the Navy, and others searching for a 31-year-old man who went missing late Thursday afternoon. Officials saying the man was spearfishing with others at the area known as Blue Hole near Roti Point. The man was free diving. And by 6 p.m. Thursday, officials got the call. That man never made it back to his group's boat. The search efforts expanding for hours. It hasn't been easy, according to GFD spokesperson Nick Garrido.
So the initial water conditions were fairly calm and visibility was high. However, we went into the evening in the dark hours, which visibility changed, water conditions changed as well. We were getting, as per the units that were out in the water, they were getting some heavy chop along with heavy winds.
Authorities set up a command post at the family beach near the Port Authority.
By mid-morning Friday, the family and friends who are also here at the command post are not ready to speak about what's happening, but they are on the lookout, waiting for any sign of their loved one, hoping for his safe return.
And just before noon, our cameras capturing the moment, search crews recovered a spear gun, Garrido confirming it belonged to the missing man.
At the end of the day, the goal here is to have a successful mission and to hopefully have
camera confirmed he was with the group, saying the 31-year-old is the best diver among them, adding the missing man was even the one who chose the dive spot. He's hopeful his friend is still out there, alive. Meantime, Coast Guard officials involved in the search tell KUAM our search team at Joint Rescue Subcenter Guam continues to seek aviation support and coordinate search areas using our search and rescue planning tools. The Coast Guard adding our thanks to the U.S. Navy Security Forces team who provided searches along the shore and harbor. This latest search comes after the island already recorded a number of water-related incidences this year that ended tragically.
With all these water-related incidents, through the Homeland Security and Office of Civil Defense, along with the National Weather Service, they provide notices out to the community daily, weekly, or as needed, and we just ask the community to continue to adhere to those notices.
Julian Hernandez, KUAM News.
Well, a bill introduced at the governor's request to raise GovGuam general pay plan salaries will not be on the agenda for this month's legislative session.
Republicans blocking the bill in the Rules Committee, saying there needs to be a lot more discussion now that an amended version boosts the cost from $16 million to $23 million. Nestor Lecanto reports.
The new version of the general pay hike bill increases the appropriation by $7 million, or more than 40%. It inserts additional raises for previously excluded agencies like UOG, GCC, and even the judiciary. Senator Tello Taitigui says while they all support the pay raises, the new price tag warrants more scrutiny.
None of us want to see that we put in these salaries and then next thing you know, 2 years down the line, we're starting to furlough because we can't afford that increase. And now those people who got that increase will lose a job because the government doesn't have enough money to pay for it.
Senator Joe San Augustine had moved to place the bill on the agenda.
If you look at the bill and the substance of the bill, you see that it makes the appropriate amendments to the Budget Act to reflect the increase and moved on.
But Senator Chris Duenas, who previously pushed for the raises to be part of the budget process, agrees with Taitigui that it can't be rushed.
I can't think of any other time when we've made that substantial of an increase or that substantial of a change in a bill without having another hearing or contemplating that in the context of the fiscal impact. Now that we are in the budgetary process and we've seen a $7 million increase in this proposal, that requires much more than one public hearing and a committee of the whole for this bill, in light of the fact that we are now revisiting basically the entire revenue and expenditures portion of the Budget Act.
The governor wanted the raises to go into effect April 1st, and in a news release blasted Duenas and Republicans, questioning whether they really support an increase. But under the new coalition majority, Republicans were able to flex their added voting muscle in the Rules Committee, blocking the bill from the session agenda until they get the added scrutiny they want.
Motion fails.
Nestor Lecanto, KUAM News.
Thanks, Ness. Well, the CNMI's longtime Bureau of Motor Vehicles chief facing federal charges for conspiracy to unlawfully produce an identification document.
Juana Leon Guerrero now on administrative leave, waiting for her day in court. Regional correspondent Tomas Manglona reports.
Longtime chief of the Bureau of Motor Vehicles, Juana Cabrera Leon Guerrero, facing a federal indictment after a grand jury found that she and co-defendant Yongdae Lee, also known as Ivan, conspired to illegally produce an identification document with other individuals known and unknown to the grand jury. The March 16 indictment says that it was between September 2021 through October 2022 that the defendants intentionally conspired and agreed to produce false CNMI driver's licenses. Court documents state that the use was in or affected interstate and foreign commerce. The indictment comes after FBI agents raided the BMV and Department of Public Safety offices last December. The BMV is under DPS, whose acting commissioner Clement Bermudez told KUAM that he met with Leon Guerrero Thursday night after being informed of the indictment and decided to place her on administrative leave.
With this Leon Guerrero case, it's a federal indictment, and I want to respect the process that's ongoing, and we'll keep the community posted as it further develops.
He says DPS is cooperating with federal investigators. The chief was appointed to lead the BMV in 2006. She went before a House panel in August 2021 during former Governor Ralph Torres' impeachment investigation in a separate matter. She was asked to describe her scope of work.
Part of the duties are registering vehicles, registering of vessels and jet skis, administering of the written test, learner's permit, and the driver's license.
Leon Guerrero and Lee are set to appear before a federal judge on March 20th. Tomas Manglona, KUAM News, Saipan.
Thanks, Tomas. Well, back here, No Deal, the attorney who stands accused of holding his staff hostage and threatening them, failed to come to an agreement with prosecutors. Defendant John Bell appearing before Judge Maria Sanzon in Superior Court today. It was said in court the alleged victim opposes Bell's plea offer. Bell, who has since been disbarred from practicing law here, will now have to renegotiate a plea that all parties can agree on. He is scheduled to appear back in court next Tuesday. Bell remains held in the Department of Corrections prison.
What's going to be done about the crime plaguing local neighborhoods? That's the question many brought before Guam police officers and elected officials during a town hall discussion held in Tamuning.
The point of the meeting is to come up with ways to make the community feel safer, participants making their voices heard that criminals are getting out of hand.
One by one, community members stepped up to the microphone to let Guam police leaders, the Attorney General, and the Legislative Oversight Chair of Public Safety know there's a problem that remains unsolved in their neighborhoods: crime.
It seems like every time that we do arrest somebody, they plea out, or they're repeat offenders, or they go out and offend again. And it's very frustrating for me as a member of this community to see that there's so many deals being cut. You know, I mean, if the question is we don't have enough prisons, build another prison.
Deputizing people, or whether it be educating more people that we're going to get tough, like Mr. Moylan there, get tough on these people that if they do commit a crime, we're going to come crashing down on you. You know, I don't like to see people go to jail, go to court, get, you know, all these problems, and their families don't have food on their table because the guy's in jail and he couldn't go to work. But there's got to be something done. It's getting too out of hand.
The issue expanding further than just into the Tamuning area. That's where this group gathered Thursday night. GPD Sergeant Paul Tapao says it's important to build the island's trust with the police force.
I think we can see a reduction of crimes that are being reported, and of course a better understanding within the community. But we all know that's going to take time. It's a work in progress. It's a lot of work that's ahead of us. But if we continue to stay the course, we continue to move forward, I'm pretty sure we can accomplish a lot of things if we work together.
The shortage of officers also highlighted. While the goal here is for the community to work together to grow neighborhood watch groups and report crimes, these elected officials say,
but we don't have the manpower, then we really got to work on using what little manpower we have, person power actually, and putting it in the right places. So I'm committed to trying to do that. But again, you know, just baseline, I feel like our community is under siege.
Guam has a problem with getting people into the government, into the police officers' positions, those sorts of things. But it cannot be an excuse, because the more cops on the streets, the more cops walking the schools, the more cops in the malls, the police presence by itself is a deterrent. When people see officers in the community just walking the beat, they used to call it, you're going to get less crime.
Officials say GPD has a police cycle underway with more potential recruits expected in the coming months.
And right before we got on the air, Docomo Pacific has confirmed that their network experienced a cybersecurity incident early this morning in which some of their servers were targeted. The telecom company indicated that the system intrusion was isolated without damage to their customer data, mobile network, or fiber services. However, other service has been impacted as a result of the incident, with CEO Baldrick writing in a press release, quote, "They are working to restore service as soon as possible."
Affected customers are being encouraged to use Docomo Pacific mobile data plans to tether access to other devices, indicating such could be done at no additional cost. An ETA for full system restoration could not be provided. We will keep you updated on KUAM.com. We'll be right back.
Half a Day Fresco Fridays on KUAM News. Presented by Fresco Clothing, original custom design apparel of Guam and the Marianas. Located in Hagutnya, just across from the Gani Shopping Center.
Don't need a work break, keep the smile on your face. The moments you can't replace, and I'll be around. Whoa, you can count on me. You can count on me for life.
Wherever life takes you, we're always here for you. Calvo's Insurance. Count on us for life.
Honey, do you want some milk?
Do you ever wonder how your favorite products make their way into your local stores? Most arrive on state-of-the-art Matson vessels that transport containers of food, household items, equipment, and supplies into the islands every week. Because we know that you depend on us, we work closely with our partners to ensure that our shipments arrive on time, all the time, so you can find your favorite products when you need them. We transport the region's most precious cargo that supports successful businesses and promotes a better quality of life for our families. Matson is proud to have been the hometown shipping carrier for Guam, the CNMI, and Micronesia for the past 25 years, and you can count on us to be here for generations to come.
What you need to know from the Northern Marianas. Follow KUAM CNMI on Instagram for the latest regional headlines.
Welcome back to Primetime. From site visits to hearing from education leaders, senators continue to press for answers in hopes to get to the bottom of the issues in our public school system.
The parent-teacher organizations now called to the Guam Congress buildings to detail their needs in the school.
Heard it time and time again. Guam's public schools in less than stellar conditions.
I guess being in the government for almost 20 years, it's a typical response when we have the manpower or the money.
A response from the Guam Department of Education to these issues. Juan Guerrero elementary teacher and its parent-teacher organization president, Rebecca Budari, says she's grown used to.
So we're like, oh, okay, well, they'll get to it, and we hope soon. But it's just gotten to the point where when is enough enough?
In search of a solution, the Committee on Education and Public Safety held a roundtable hearing for PTO concerns at the Guam legislature today. Senators hoping to find the fix, starting by hearing their stories. Education Oversight Chair Senator Chris Barnett says it's the group who can help to fill in the gaps where GDOE officials fall short. An issue brought to light by Budari, piles of hazardous debris left in the middle of Juan Guerrero's campus after officials bulldozed temporary classrooms.
We've got about maybe 6 piles of it in the different areas. And of course, our school, we put caution tape so the kids know not to go around that area or those areas.
Budari adding that the harmful material was inspected by the Guam Environmental Protection Agency some time ago, prompting school officials.
I guess the response from downtown was we're just waiting on a permit to remove the debris. I'm not too sure if that's the procedures.
A waiting game. She hopes that after today, she'll have to wait no more. Senators gathered more testimony from parents and teachers during the roundtable.
CNMI government workers will begin to work reduced hours starting April 24th. In an executive branch-wide directive, Governor Arnold Palacios detailing cost containment measures as the legislature works to pass a revised budget. The budget largely makes cuts within the administration, Palacios saying the 72-hour work schedule is meant for those funded by the American Rescue Plan or local revenues. As a result, NMI executive branch offices will be closed every other Monday starting on April 24th. The cuts equal a 10% reduction in personnel costs. The Senate and House are holding special sessions and are expected to pass the revised budget reflecting the measures.
Well, the CNMI is pivoting away from the Chinese tourism market, which made up 50% of the island's visitors pre-COVID amid boiling U.S.-China tensions. Now Governor Arnold Palacios turns to the military for relief. Regional correspondent Tomas Manglotnya reports.
NMI Governor Arnold Palacios says the Commonwealth is pivoting away from its reliance on the Chinese tourism market, which comprised half of the island's visitors pre-COVID. In a letter to Admiral John Aquilino, commander of the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command, the governor reiterated his testimony before the U.S. Senate committee last month about advancing America's interest in the region amid geopolitical pressure. He says develop the tourism pipeline from American allies including Japan and Korea, which of course will take time. He adds the loss of the Chinese market, however, has had a considerably adverse economic and financial impact on the Commonwealth. This loss contributes to vulnerable economic conditions that in the past have been exploited by the Chinese Communist Party to the detriment of the United States' interest in the region. Palacios asked the Admiral to advocate for more funding to stabilize the NMI's economy in the next DoD budget hearing in Congress. Palacios wrote, "We request for your support in seeking direct aid to replace the economic loss that we have experienced as a result of the CNMI's pivot away from China. KUAM is reaching out to the Marianas Visitors Authority for comment." Tomas Manglotnya, KUAM News.
A new corps is adding even more color to the Guam Green Growth Initiative. G3 welcoming the latest addition to the initiative this week, the Art Corps. The group of 8 are prominent artists on the island. They will be lending their talents to drive the message of sustainability forward, creating murals.
Over the next 4 months, the Art Corps will host workshops on Mural 101 and place-based art, resulting in 17 murals throughout the island, all with themes inspired by the Sustainable Development Goals. Dr. Austin Shelton is the director of the Center for Island Sustainability and UOGC grant.
Art is really important because this is the way that we can connect to our community, to inspire, to awaken, to help our community discover new things, and to really care and be more passionate about what we have here on our island to offer.
For more information about G3's Art Corps, visit guamgreengrowth.org.
While honoring the American Red Cross Guam chapter for helping the people of Guam in their time of need, Governor Leon Guerrero declaring March 2023 as American Red Cross Month during a virtual proclamation signing held earlier today. ARC Guam Chapter Board Chair Marcos Fong announcing blue sky operations or preparedness operations have resumed.
These include programs like the Pillowcase Project, wherein we partnership with local schools, educate students on the importance of preparedness, or the Sound the Alarm Initiative, where we work with village mayors to identify at-risk homes and vulnerable residents so that we may install smoke alarms in their homes. These and many other preventative programs have proven to save lives, and I'm so happy to see them reactivated within our chapter.
The governor encourages the community to support the humanitarian mission of the American Red Cross by reaching out to those in need. Well, if you haven't noticed, my co-anchor has a new look he's rocking tonight, and he's looking fresco on Fresco Friday.
Me?
Yes, you.
It's all in the name of a good cause and giving back. Jason Salas and I team up with GCC's cosmetology program, and we hope you can too, offering your support for St. Baldrick's event set up for this Saturday.
All right. Our morning on this day in the newsroom was anything but typical. We here at the KUAM Care Force are all about helping kids, and with the Great Shave-a-thon finally back, Nick Delgado and I kicked off our island's quest to conquer kids' cancer by going dome and getting our heads shaved live on the hotspot this morning.
This is one of those valuable community services that we cater to.
But it takes a lot of moving parts to complete this mission, so we were in capable hands as students in Janice Uggin's cosmetology program at GCC brought their clippers and put them to good use.
If anyone wants to donate out there, there's a website for them to go to as well, right?
Yes, so they can go to stbaldricks.org/events/Guam. You too can help us support these amazing little Guamanians by joining us for the St. Baldrick shaving event on Saturday at GPO in Tamuning from 10 in the morning to 1 in the afternoon, or online at stbaldricks.org/events/Guam. You can show your support for these kids by getting your head shaved, or most importantly, making a donation to help them. Our local beneficiary is the Edward M. Calvo Cancer Foundation, aiding island families. Also special thanks to our friends at the Insurance Association of Guam. We hope to see you there, because bald is beautiful. And, especially on behalf of the kids, Sidus Masi, and thank you.
And our Destiny Cruz, and I think the rest of the news team will be there as well, right?
Yes, definitely.
You should show up. Maybe she'll shave her head too.
We'll see.
Well, in other news, how do you express your village story? That's the theme for the University of Guam Press's Village Bookshelf Competition.
Mayors going head-to-head to build or decorate the best village bookshelf. One southern village setting the bar extremely high. Mitsuki Hirayama has the story.
Mila Halom, from Jeff's Pirates Cove to Yokoi's Cave and San Miguel Catholic Church, inside the Talofofo Community Center, a special reading experience awaits village children. Talofofo Mayor's Office Special Projects Coordinator Andrea Cruz says these bookshelves packed full of Chamorro culture are all built from recycled goods.
We did not spend a dime on the decorations that you're going to see here. Everything is recycled, and Peggy Denny from I Recycle Guam donated all the styrofoam. The mayor has several partnerships with different organizations, from the tilapia farm outside to everything. It tells a story from the beginning all the way to the end.
It's a project that started with the University of Guam Press Village Bookshelf Competition. UOG Press Grants Project Manager Kiana Brown says it's about fostering cultural literacy and encouraging children to read.
The Village Bookshelf Competition is an initiative that's part of our Youth Empowerment Grant at UOG Press. And so really what it is, it's an initiative to set up collections of local literature throughout the island, so in every village, so that the residents of villages have access to books that they may not have had access to before.
Each mayor's office getting a set of local books with the task to make the best village bookshelf. UOG Press Distribution Manager Pedro Blas says winners will be selected by March 31st, first place getting $500.
And whether or not they, follow the criteria as far as cultural representation, village representation, how accessible it is to the community, and how engaged the community is with their families and the books.
The Talafofo's mayor's office setting the bar high, taking pride in the project.
If you look at the detail of the cave, you'll see that the bats are here, which is signature to Talafofo. Flowers, all the flora, the fauna, everything is Talafofo.
Talafofo Mayor Vicente Taidagui proud to showcase his village through the competition and invites the community over.
So come over, parents, and encourage your kids to come over and educate them about our culture. Hopefully we could retain our culture.
Mitsuki Hariyama, KUAM News.
Thanks, Mitsuki. Now for a look at your world at home. It's down at Tumon Bay.
This view and tomorrow music that you can listen to anytime with this QR code on Isla Digital Radio.
Buenos Zenhafides. As you all know, our islands had a very successful year, and I'd love to hear about all of the progress we've made. Skylar, why don't we start with you?
We've helped over 1,200 Guam kids and their families pay for childcare.
And that's over $5.5 million in childcare costs so far. Over 130 after-school and community care programs have received grant funding for programs like swimming.
And cycling.
And soccer. And jiu-jitsu.
We've also graduated 3 cohorts
in our provider certification program at GCC.
And certified over 75 relative care providers.
Looks like we have a message incoming from headquarters.
Hi kids, I just want to say congratulations on all your successes this past year.
Thank you, Governor Lou. We couldn't have done it without you.
Keep up the great work.
He's ready for recess.
This ad is paid for with funds administered by the Department of Public Health and Social Services.
KUAM Sports is brought to you by Docomo Pacific. Better together.
Let's take it to the hoop. Welcome to KUAM Sports.
Tonight, basketball action and competitors prep for Guam Jiu-Jitsu League, and here is the final score.
I'm really excited about the format of the tournament. I know it's going to test me, it's going to test my skills, my abilities, and my jiu-jitsu. And I know there's a lot of tough guys competing. It's going to be a lot of wars, and the best guy's going to come out on top. What people can expect from me is fireworks. I'm going to go out there, I'm going to do my best, and I'm going for the kill every time.
I'm most excited for, obviously, for the gold, coming for that. I feel way more equipped this time around. My first comp, no excuses, but I was pretty fresh still. I feel like I've improved a lot since then. And yeah, I'm coming for that gold.
Afade, my name is Gonzo Quintaniza. I'm a purple belt under Professor Mike Carbolito, and I train at Atos Jiu-Jitsu Guam.
Hey, Afade guys, my name is Ross Perez. I train with GUMA, GU Martial Arts, and I've been training for about 8 months to almost a year now.
It's our partners at Clutch Guam. They're giving us the final score.
Yes.
We'll be right back.
KUAM Sports is brought to you by Docomo Pacific. Better together.
The wait is over, Guam. The all-new state-of-the-art car wash is now open at Cars Plus. Introducing Finish Line Express, open 7 days a week. The all-new cash drive-through car wash is also the largest car wash on island that can accommodate vehicles such as lifted Jeeps and full-size pickup trucks. Just roll up, pick a wash, insert credit card, or show your EverWash app and roll through. Plus, power vacuums are available to clean the interior. Show your vehicle some love today at the all-new car wash at Cars Plus in Mighty. Open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. 7 days a week.
Feed Me Fridays is brought to you by Devondale. Real milk from free grazing cows.
Half a day, guys. Today on Feed Me Fridays, we're taking a trip down to Tumon and visiting Snowberry. I'm craving something with fruits. Maybe strawberries? Okay, so there's strawberries, mochi, almond. Very delicious. Oh! There's more inside. Okay. The fruits, the mochi, the almond, like the creaminess. There's Devondale in the snow ice, and it's very good. Thank you guys for joining me today. And that's today's episode of Feed Me Fridays. See you next time.
Feed Me Fridays is brought to you by Devondale, real milk from free grazing cows.
Wow, a surprise in every bite. Oh, Darby, how did you do that?
Surprise!
Wow, that looked amazing.
It looks so good. It was better than how I reacted.
I think we should rename it to Feed Me, Darby.
I agree. You made it look so good. My mouth was watering.
You should check it out. It was really good.
We will. Now to your Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club shout out submitted on KUAM.com+.
Also, this week's winner of an ice cream cake courtesy of Cold Stone.
Okay, not only is it Friday, not only is it the start of the island weekend, not only is it St. Patrick's Day, but it is the birthday for some very special Guamanians. So, happy birthday to the island's newest 3-year-old. This is Kiyoki Flores, and Kiyoki's shout out is have an awesome birthday coming from Mom, Dad, Kainoa, Malia, and the family who all say we love you. Kayla Dominique Salas, happy birthday to you, Cakes. The lucky charm in our family with a big green emoji. Love Mom, Dad, Lynn, Trey, Zoe, Audie, and the pups. Man, we hope you guys wore green today, all right? And belated birthday wishes going out to Justine Santos. Happiest birthday to you, Justine Jean. May God bless you on this very special day. Hugwadzahau, coming from your entire family. Chee-hoo! They say. I hope I pronounced that right. It's also surrounded by a bunch of like heart emojis, which is totally awesome. Happy 21st birthday to Tony May Uggan, and how time flies. Your family all says they love you. So we hope each one of you wore green today and celebrated in the most awesome way. And we got a birthday cake to give away. So this week's winners, plural, hey, get that, are Jacob Bryan and Javid Daniel Mesa. So Jacob and Javen, we hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful birthday. Share your ice cream cake with each other, with your family, with your friends, because that's what birthday cakes are all about, meant to be shared. And we hope you have a wonderful birthday from all your friends at Cold Stone Creamery and your friends right here at KUAM.
Esta Guizan Mizu Primetime Show si Zeus Masi put in an ega Guahusi Nick Delgado.
Sa Guahusi Destiny Cruz, Nefan Safu Hanzu sa Gosa Iponi.
KUAM News Hotspot is brought to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
In an unusual public appeal ahead of the actual budget hearing, the University of Guam is calling on the legislature to pass its full $42 million funding request for next fiscal year. School President Dr. Thomas Christ says it's to allow the school to stabilize and recover from past funding shortfalls. UOG has experienced a continued decrease for its operations since 2018. Specifically, over the last 5 years, it's seen a 23% drop, and adjusted for inflation, the decrease is closer to 35%. President Christ says the funding is critical to the institution's success and to its continuing accreditation. He says the funding is also needed to update its faculty salary scale, which is now over 10 years old. Recent pay increases for Guam Department of Education personnel have put further pressure on the school. It now has more than 70 vacancies that Christ says can be attributed in part to current salary levels. Christ says the university is not planning to increase tuition this fiscal year, provided it receives the full appropriation of $42 million. He also points out that according to an economic impact study conducted by the university in 2020, for every $1 it receives in general operations funding from GovGuam, UOG generates $3 in additional tax revenue. Our conversation with UOG President Dr. Thomas Christ coming up. Hafa day, everyone. Welcome to The Hub. I'm Nestor Lecanto, and we are joined this week by the president of the University of Guam, Dr. Thomas Christ, who's going to talk to us about the upcoming fiscal year or school year budget for the university. Dr. Christ, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Nestor. Happy day. Happy Monday.
Happy day. First, you kind of taken an unusual step to make a public appeal for the passage of your budget before the budget hearing. So obviously it's quite important to you. Can you talk about your budget request and why it's so important that you get the full amount this year?
So I think as we try to point out in the budget submission itself, that we really need to turn the corner this year. There's several reasons why, but one is that we are submitting our report, a big internal report for our accreditation, reaccreditation at the end of June this year. And our Senior Vice President and Provost, Anita Borja Enriquez, is a commissioner of the Western Association of Schools and Colleges. So she's, at the very highest level there, very plugged in, and she regularly reviews other universities for their accreditation. And so she's just back from doing 4 of them. And so she really emphasizes how important the finances are to accreditation. And so, we've had a historic run of 16 years, continuous accreditation, the longest we've ever had in our 70-year history. And that's at risk this year because we've had a serious decline in our funding certainly since 2018. Our high water mark was about 2015, 2016, and it's come down very dramatically since then. And that's compounded by the decline in value thanks to inflation. So it's a 23% dollar value drop in these 5 years. It's a 35% drop in inflation adjusted terms. That's a dramatic reduction in support for the university. So we've decided as an institution that we must get the public support and certainly the legislature's support to turn this ship around. We really have to get funded at the level that we used to be funded. And if you gave us today in value what we got in 1994, 30 years ago, it would be $63 million. So 42 million is really quite, in line with what we had been. So we ran 30 million a year from 94 until 2018, and then it started plummeting, and now we're down around 23 million. So that's what we're trying to do. So we understand that it's tricky because we have so much great news coming out of the university. People think, oh, things must just be hunky dory, and we certainly are doing an amazing amount with a dramatically reduced, dropping appropriation, but that can't last, right? And so, we're losing people. We have 77 vacancies. It's a serious situation, and we really need the public support for the university to get back to where we were 5 years ago.
Yeah, just to add more context to the budgetary shortfall, can you go over the past 5 years that was contained in the press release of how much each year the budget request has been the shortfall in the budget request from what was actually appropriated to?
Yeah, so I don't actually have it sitting in front of me. I should have that. So it was about 30.7 and these are all just, nominal dollars and not adjusted for inflation. 30.7 million in 2018. So that was the budget that the year that I arrived. That was the one that was going. And then since then, it's been this steady reduction down to 23.6, I think now. And if you look at it, there's a little bit of zigzag in there because of the COVID. So the reason we've been able to survive these cuts these years is because of the COVID rescue funds that we've gotten. So and those run out this June, and that'll be the end of that. So we don't have that lifeline to help sustain us through this. So, and it's important for people to know that the general appropriation pays for salaries and utilities, the basic stuff of the university, not new buildings, not the federal research, none of that stuff. It's just the basic salaries and utilities and maintenance stuff. So and so that's gone down all of these years, and so the total amount that is different from what we should have gotten is just about 30 million in that 5-year period. So
yeah, quite a substantial amount. Dr. Kreis, we've got to take a short break, and we'll be back to talk a little bit more about the implications of the budget shortfall right after this break.
Guam's auto appearance specialist, Elegant Reflections, has been providing the automotive industry with professional detailing and car care products at its highest quality, from complete detailing, full interior detailing, exterior detailing, headlamp restoration, hand washing, seat and carpet shampoo, engine degreasing, undercarriage cleaning, paint sealant, fabric protection, paint oxidation removal, and so much more. Visit us at our new location. Call 646-5555 for an appointment. Elegant Reflections, Guam's auto appearance specialist, over 20 years of experience.
Okay, we are back with Dr. Thomas Christ, the president of the University of Guam, of course, and we're talking about the upcoming budget request from the Guam legislature. Dr. Christ, you talked about, the critical need for a full budget appropriation or allocation for this particular upcoming school year. What are some of the implications if you don't get that money?
So one of the key things is that we have 77 current vacancies in our faculty and staff, and that's been growing over these years. And so a real impact on students is that there are a number of courses that we can't add sections to, or we don't have enough faculty to cover. And so what happens is students need a certain course in their program to finish on time, and they can't get that. So that means they wind up staying longer. And the longer you take to finish a degree, the less likely you are to finish it. So that's why we're always so interested in trying to get students on track, stay on track, sort of move through the system as promptly as possible. So we've made dramatic changes, improvements in the last 5, 6, 10 years at least, on our graduation rate. So they've gone up from 26% to 42%. That's a dramatic change in a fairly short time. But that still means that more than half of our students don't finish in a 6-year period. And so not having enough faculty means that students then have a harder time getting through. And then 60% of our students are Pell eligible, which means they come from relatively modest, low-income families. And so it's even harder for people in kind of tough economic situation to take longer, because it's just, they already have so many other things going on with work, sometimes multiple jobs, certainly family obligations and so on. And so it's harder and harder to get through. So we've done everything we can to try to put more resources around our students to help support them through this. And so by having 77 vacancies, it makes it that much harder to get our students through. And we've been recognized by the U.S. News World Report College Guide for our efforts on social mobility. So we're doing a really good job of taking people from either from first in their families to go to college, or from low income situations, and to get them through college. So we're really noted for being able to do that. But it does take people, it does take faculty, it does take, we have to have the right number of courses so that students can get through. So I'd say that's probably the most obvious impact on students and on our community is it's harder to finish at University of Guam if we don't have enough faculty and advisors to keep people going.
Yeah, can you give us an idea of what sort of the faculty positions are vacant, and what fields and what the fields you think that are most important for students at the university?
So it covers a full range of disciplines, and we do depend a lot on a really great cadre of adjunct professors from all aspects of professions in Guam. We have people working, course by course, teaching courses, and so that helps us a lot and helps us get through. But a difference with adjunct faculty versus full-time is that the full-time faculty are the ones who develop the curriculum, who update the curriculum, who provide a lot of the advising and support for various student activities and so on. So there's a big difference between a full-time residential faculty versus a part-time faculty. So but some of the fields that we perennially have full classes in are many of the sciences, mathematics, biology, chemistry. All of those are feeder courses, of course, to programs in the health sciences like nursing and social work and some of the others. Certainly those courses also support engineering and other things. So you create these bottlenecks at different parts of the curriculum that wind up affecting pretty much all of the fields.
Yeah. How would you respond to maybe someone in the legislature? I'm not saying this is what they would say, but you're saying that you need to hire, fill 77 positions, and that you need to update outdated faculty pay. So basically, you might say that you're going to hire more employees and going to adjust pay to increase salaries. How would you respond to that?
So we're losing faculty as it is. So we've quite a few number of faculty have left for much higher paying jobs. One is leaving this spring for double his UOG salary. So it's very hard to compete with that. So this budget doesn't solve the whole 77. It just begins to hire. We'll just begin hiring some of the 77 vacancies, because particularly faculty positions typically take a full academic year to hire, because of the way the whole system works. You typically hire people at the beginning of an academic year. There's some exceptions to that, but so this is a sort of a down payment on that. And then on the adjustment to the faculty pay scale, this is also just a down payment. It's the first phase of a multi-phased effort to raise the salaries to basically to match GDOE, because we're running, as we gave an example, $13,000 below GDOE now if you start a job with them versus us with a terminal degree. So that makes it hard for us to hire faculty, to retain faculty. So that's been an issue for us for these number of years. And the pay scale is at least 10 years old. I mean, there's some ways of looking at that scale to say that it's 30 years old, but it's at least everyone agrees it's at least 10 years out of date. And so that's just not sustainable. What industry, is running on 10-year-old salary scales? So.
Yeah, and as I'm sure you're aware, the legislature has before it the governor's request to raise the salaries of certain fields. I mean, they have already done so for nurses and law enforcement, and so now this is the general pay scale that is being proposed to be raised. So you're right in the middle of a bunch of raises that have been paid out and also are under consideration. So that's another thing for the legislature's consideration. We got to take another break. Yes. Sure, go ahead. I'm sorry.
But just to say that we've included the piece of that because our classified employees would be covered by that 22%. So our $42 million budget includes the amount of money we would need to meet that new requirement. So.
Right, got you. Thanks for the clarification. Okay, we'll take another quick break and we'll be back with further implications of this budget request, including the prospect of potential tuition hikes. I'll ask Dr. Kreis about that right after this.
The wait is over, Guam. The all-new state-of-the-art car wash is now open at Cars Plus. Introducing Finish Line Express, open 7 days a week. The all-new cashless drive-through car wash is also the largest car wash on island that can accommodate vehicles such as lifted Jeeps and full-size pickup trucks. Just roll up, pick a wash, insert credit card, or show your EverWash app and roll through. Plus, power vacuums are available to clean the interior. Show your vehicle some love today at the all-new car wash at Cars Plus in Mighty. Open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. 7 days a week.
All right, Dr. Kreis, we are back to continue our discussion about the University of Guam's budget request. And we were talking about, whether or not the legislature would fund you completely as you're requesting. And I wanted to ask, what are the implications of not getting all the money that you need? How would you make up for that shortfall? And that brings up the specter of a tuition rate increase. What are your thoughts?
So it made it clear in a couple of other ways that if we can get the full appropriation of $42 million, there's zero chance of a tuition increase. And I emphasize that raising tuition is sort of the last thing that we're interested in doing. We're the second most affordable land-grant university in the whole country, and we like being down in that range, particularly with 61% of our students are Pell eligible. So that means it's a fairly low-income group that we're serving, and so it's really important to keep that as affordable as possible. So the appropriation is by far the biggest part of our budget, and tuition is the second biggest, and it's about maybe a third of what the appropriation is. And so one problem with raising tuition is that whenever any college raises tuition, their enrollment goes down. And so you don't ever get the revenue that you were hoping because the student numbers go down. So it's not a good thing, but it is the only alternative to the appropriation. And in public universities across the U.S., for some states have really, undermined their public universities. And there's some universities that are up at $20,000 a year for tuition. So they're basically just like private universities. They're running almost entirely on tuition without any support from their public, from their legislature. So it's not in anybody's, never our interest to raise tuition. It's just the only other alternative. Or I could say, there are two alternatives: raise tuition or shut things down, right? Those are the two options. And so we've never had a sense of why our budget has been cut so dramatically. So we haven't had any clue about what it is that the legislature might want to stop at the university. So we basically kept things going. We started the School of Engineering in 2016, and that was the high water mark for our total contributions from Guam, and it's been downhill ever since. And at School of Engineering is a great thing. We're graduating great engineers. I meet with a number of people employing our graduates. They're thrilled with them. It's great for us to have highly trained engineers from here, our own people, rather than flying in expensive off-island engineers. So it's a great thing for Guam. It's a great thing for our region. But it's also not cheap. And so we're building a building, we need equipment, we're trying to keep our faculty who are getting lured away by much, much higher salaries. And so, to launch something that expensive and then face 5 years of steady reductions in appropriation is just like, this is not sustainable. We can't keep this going. So anyway, that would be an example of the kind of challenges that we've had the way through. The rescue money, as I say, have helped us kind of stabilize through this, but those funds are ending in June.
Yeah, if I hear what you're saying, even if you were to forced to raise tuition, it's not going to really accomplish as much because you'll see a decrease in enrollment. So that will kind of make that, the revenue potentially a lot less than, you had anticipated.
Right. So it's never in our interest to do that, right?
Okay. Have you had a chance to meet with the oversight chair and discuss some of your concerns already?
So we've been all the way through. We've been in close connection with Senator Amanda Shelton, the chair of the Oversight Committee, and also with Senator Jesse Lujan, who's the vice chair under the 37th legislature. So those channels of communication are good. Yeah, and so they're the ones that are kind of going to execute the budget discussion with their colleagues. Yeah, and are they generally agreeable to what your needs are, and do they understand the critical importance of getting all the money that you're asking for? Yeah, they were quoted in today's Post in an article supporting the $42 million request. So we're very pleased with that, and we have a series of meetings now with, particularly with the new senators in the 37th, to orient them about the university, give them tours of facilities and that sort of thing, starting tomorrow, as a matter of fact. And so that'll be one of the other ways that we get to communicate. And we also have student government leaders and our Board of Regents and the Board of Directors of the Endowment Foundation are all helping to get the message out.
All right, we've got to take one more quick break, and then we'll come back to wrap it up right after this. Please stay with us.
Catch KUAM News Hotspot, a multi-platform news program broadcasting and streaming at 11 a.m. on KUAM TV8 Tuesdays through Fridays, with rebroadcasting at 3:30 p.m., as well as live streaming globally on our Facebook Live and YouTube digital platforms. Jason Solis features a blend of local, national, and regional news, plus lifestyle and entertainment features and extended interviews with top newsmakers.
KUAM News Hotspot is brought to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
All right, Dr. Grace, we are back for a final couple of minutes. I wanted to ask you if you could maybe kind of wrap this up for us and for the public in particular. I think you're seeking public support ahead of the budget hearing. When is the budget hearing, by the way, and what would you say to the public to come out and perhaps, and the students, of course, too, and their parents to come out and support your budget request?
So we expect the budget hearing to be in about a month, I think, if it follows the pattern of the last couple of years. So we've got a little bit of time there for making the case. I think a really important thing to emphasize to the people of Guam is the value of the university to the whole community, whether you go there or not, or whether you send your kids there or not. It's very valuable as an institution. So we generate over $350 million in economic activity for Guam. For every dollar that the GovGuam gives to UOG, we generate $3 in additional tax revenue back to GovGuam. So education is the best investment you can make at every level, from pre-kindergarten through doctoral studies. It's the best general investment you can get, the best return on investment. And so all of our educational activities need public support, whether we individually are attending them or not. We all benefit from a more educated, a more highly trained population. Another thing to pay attention to, I think, is the loss of population. So in the last census, we lost 3.5% of our population between 2010 and 2020. And that's a serious loss of people. And if you can educate people and keep them here and provide people with the full range of college experiences and community college and trades opportunities here, they're less likely to leave. And you can also begin to bring back people who've left the island. So I think just from that point of view, it's really important that we invest in education at all levels. And the university, I think, has done a superb job over 70 years, and particularly in the past 10, 20 years, a dramatic increase in the amount of resources we're attracting to Guam. So over $20 million a year in highly prestigious federal research funds are coming to Guam because of the University of Guam. That's over 200 jobs that supports on federal research money alone. We've also attracted $50 million in resources, external resources to build buildings, to add to our capacity for nursing and for engineering. And so the university does a tremendous range of direct services, things like CEDARS for disability services and all kinds of environmental help that we provide. So it's a tremendous return on the investment. It isn't a sinkhole. It isn't something you just pour money into. It's something you invest in. And our students are worth the investment because we all benefit from a more highly trained, a more highly educated community. And so this is the place for that. And Guam has reason to be very proud of UOG and its people. And we're really just asking the public to support the legislature, support the GovGuam, support for the university.
All right. I think they heard your pitch, and I think that'll be a similar pitch before the Guam legislature when they have the budget discussions for the University of Guam. Best of luck with that, Dr. Christ, and thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you. It's possible.
All right. I'm Nestor Conte. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you again next week on The Hub.